Bonjour, Nathalie Tous-Foltz. It is always a pleasure to meet with you, but today it is very special. Today is an honor for me to have this opportunity to interview the star of this conference.
Bonjour Jean-Pierre, the honor is mine. Really, it's a pleasure for me to give this lecture in the name of a star, which is the Giroux lecture.
Indeed, but your lecture was absolutely outstanding. Of course, from a technical standpoint, it was excellent, as were the five preceding lectures of this series. But in addition, you gave a special new dimension to our discipline by showing how geosynthetics can address the challenges of our times. So this leads naturally to my first question. Why did you choose such an ambitious subject?
I agree with you that it was an ambitious subject, but it is consistent with the personal evolution. As you may know, I have changed jobs 3 years ago, and I'm no longer working in the geosynthetics laboratory in IRSTEA. I'm now involved in IRSTEA, which is a public research institute in France, as a manager. And as such, I am in charge on a territory that goes from the north of the river Loire, south of Paris, to the north and the east of France. And on this territory, I have to bring a vision of what IRSTEA can bring by its research to the development of this territory. And this is consistent with my job as the president of the French chapter of the IGS, and I assume with my new task as the vice president of the IGS, and I just want also to try to give this global vision to our society. I was very lucky that before I knew that I would be selected to give the Giroux lecture, I read the very interesting book from Frédéric Lenoir, unfortunately not translated into English, but which title could be Healing the World, where it deals with those various crises. And I immediately thought that would I be selected, I should make an adaptation of this book to our community and show how geosynthetics can contribute to solve the various crises.
Thank you for this excellent answer to my first question. But in your lecture, you indicated the important role of geosynthetics in the protection of the environment. But today, in many countries, the economic situation is not so good, so there is naturally a tendency to reduce the budget for measures that are aimed at protecting the environment. And this is because there is a belief that protecting the environment costs money. But you made a strong statement indicating that at the same time, geosynthetics can protect the environment and save money on the projects. So this is a very important statement that you made. Could you elaborate on that?
Amongst the various papers that I've read, it appears that this common belief that the pollution control stifles economic growth is a wrong statement. And the pollution mitigation and prevention can, in fact, yield to large net gains, both for human health and for the economy. And previous authors in the field of geosynthetics have shown that the use of geosynthetics in civil applications will provide financial benefits by reducing the cost of the imported materials and also by reducing the amount of waste. And it generally provides a more efficient use of resources compared to solutions with natural materials, so that we bring more sustainability thanks to geosynthetics.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but in your lecture, you describe in a well-organized manner the many beneficial ways in which geosynthetics address the challenges of our times. But you mention with equal importance the role that the IGS, the International Geosynthetic Society, could play in this matter. And in fact, knowing you, I should not say the role the IGS could play, but the role the IGS should play. So putting so much emphasis on the role of the IGS is quite new in a lecture at a conference. Maybe this is because you focus a lot on the human aspects of technique and science, so this is why there should be a role for the IGS. What do you think about that?
True. I agree with you on that. I've shown in the beginning of the lecture that yes, technically the IGS brings solutions to distribute quality water to all, to feed people, to contribute also to the control of pollution, to connect people, and all this bringing as well economic solutions. But the IGS is a human society, and we probably have the trend to forget that. And being humans, we can bring other solutions and a full solution to people. And people attach more and more importance around the globe today to social connections and also to values. And I guess that the IGS can bring solutions and show the way to many people. There is a special field that I mentioned yesterday, which is the environmental justice. And I guess that the IGS can show the way by bringing more environmental justice, by sharing more all the resources that we have from our society with people around the globe, that we all get the same level of information as geosynthetics are concerned.
I see that you cannot stop talking about this subject, and this human touch was really the special character of your excellent lecture yesterday. Going back to the geosynthetics now, you indicated in your lecture that geosynthetics have been the most important innovation in the field of geotechnical engineering in the second half of the 20th century.
Well, I guess this comes from one of your papers, Jean-Pierre.
So you cite the good authors. Thank you. And you mentioned the many applications of geosynthetics. However, today, geosynthetics are still misunderstood and misused by many engineers. So here, there is probably also an important role for the IGS.
I agree with you. Teaching is repeating, but repeating always the same message in the same way, you do not always succeed. So that we need to multiply the ways we communicate with people. There is also a complementary approach, which is to control that people have really understood the message that we wanted to go through. In France, there is a system which is the ASQUAL certification system, where we check that the controllers that have been formed, that the installers can really do things in the right way, that they have appropriated the knowledge. So this system could probably be diffused all around the world, or parallel systems looking like this with the aim of controlling that the knowledge has been appropriated would certainly help us. And finally, I guess that we have reached the time now that the IGS can no longer work on its own. We need other skills. And if we want people to appropriate knowledge, I made yesterday an incursion in human and social sciences through philosophy. I think that we need the help of human and social sciences to work on the levers that would facilitate the appropriation of the knowledge by people. So it's really time now, 35 years after the creation of the IGS, to get out of the box and open to other disciplines.
So we are back to the first question. This is really, really very ambitious. And I know that you have been very active, not only in your country, but in the IGS, to educate the educators, for example. But these programs should be developed, should be amplified. I'm sure you are going to continue to work in this direction.
We can continue in this direction. I think it's also important to work on continuous teaching. Neil Dixon was mentioning that yesterday during his lecture. There are various vectors, and we should try to multiply the ways through which we spread the knowledge.
Now, if I may, as a last question, I would like to be the devil's advocate. In your lecture, you described the many applications of geosynthetics to protect the environment and in particular to prevent pollution of the ground and the groundwater. But what about just the opposite? What about a potential risk of pollution of the environment by the geosynthetics themselves? Because geosynthetics have a long durability. Some of them will be around for decades, for centuries, and sometimes well beyond their service life. So some geotextile will deteriorate, but some will not deteriorate for centuries. So is there a risk that the general public will one day consider that the geosynthetics are like the plastics today, what they call the plastic, are undesirable?
The advantage of the geosynthetics are that they are buried or that they are inside works. It's true that they contain some additives, and we should not neglect the question to address on the migration of those additives to the environment, and we did publish some work on that.
Yeah, I know you have worked on that, but the question is bigger than that. The geosynthetics are very visible, not always, they are buried sometimes, but they are big. Today they occupy a significant fraction of the surface of the earth. So one day the public will realize that.
The public realizes that. The public raises question about one point, which is the recycling of the geosynthetics, for example, when there are deconstruction works. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that today we do not have proper answers. And there are various questions like that. Do geosynthetics contribute to increasing biodiversity, or on the contrary, reduce biodiversity? Mm-hmm. Those questions are essential questions for the society today. And again, we should get out of our box and live in the real world and address the question of those people. They are real questions, and it is important that we address them properly for the future of our society.
So I see that you have all the right answers to my questions, but now you are going to become the next vice president of the IGS, so it is not only the time for answers, but the time for action. Of course.
Of course, you're right.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Nathalie, for taking the time to answer my question. To conclude, I would like to invite the viewers of this interview to read the outstanding paper that Nathalie prepared and which is available in the proceedings of this conference being the 11th International Conference on Geosynthetics, held here in Seoul, Korea in 2018. And I would like to add that an extended version of the paper will be published in Geosynthetics International as soon as next year. So thank you again.
Thank you again to you, Jean-Pierre.